Hello and welcome to the Next Level Supply Chain with GS1 US, a podcast in which we explore the mind-bending world of global supply chain, covering topics such as automation, innovation, unique identity, and more. I'm your co-host, Reed.
And I'm Liz.
And welcome to the show.
I just had a great conversation with Michael Pytel from Fulfilled. They're working to optimize warehouses using technologies that give the employees of the warehouses maps of where products are on the shelves. And while they're doing that, they're also ensuring by doing these maps that the routes eliminate fork truck traffic. We talked about how that helps with efficiencies, and it also helps with making the people that are working in that warehouse feel more successful. They're not going to the same places more than once, and they're not wasting their time. I've spent a lot of hours in warehouses in my life. This episode was really fun to record, and I hope you enjoy it. I also would love to remind you to join us at GS1 Connect in Denver, Colorado on June 5th through the 7th to hear more about today's topic and other supply chain best practices. Hey, Michael, welcome to the show.
Hey, Liz. Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited about our conversation. It's going to be awesome. Before we really get into it, tell me a little bit about the founding of Fulfilled and the path in your career in which you are here now.
Yeah, so my career has always been in the manufacturing world. I've worked at companies that manufactured wheelchairs, rockets, greeting cards, shoes, poultry and meat products. So a lot of different manufacturing environments, and always been in that world, always been in enterprise software. And so Fulfilled is a 2.5-year-old company. We are a startup focused around warehouse management, and in a prior life worked in the SAP ecosystem and just had an opportunity to work with SAP ERP. It's the largest business software in the world. And just got to experience a lot of different manufacturing environments, a lot of different organizations. And we just felt like there's a lot of really neat optimization and innovation in the manufacturing space with Industry 4.0. There's a lot of innovation with last mile delivery, right? With all these delivery companies out there. But within the four walls of the warehouse, even today, 2023, I encounter Fortune 100 companies with warehouses who are still running on pen and paper. So we felt like there wasn't a lot of innovation in the warehouse, and we aim to change that by building a platform that uses machine learning and AI from the ground up, rather than a lot of these warehouse management systems that were built 15, 20 years ago, and then they're trying to bolt on machine learning on top of it. So we've built our platform from the ground up with it. Always been in the manufacturing world, love the manufacturing environment, love warehouse and logistics, and just felt like there was a need for disruption in that area.
When you talk about warehouse management, I've been into the manufacturing world for too many years. And when I picture that, it's fork trucks and it's people and it's potentially scanning. It's chaotic. There's a lot of movement. There's a lot of people. But when you talk about paper, that's mind-blowing in this day and age.
It absolutely is. And you're right. It's a delicate ballet. We have to move things quickly. We have to move things safely. We have to know where to put something and when to put it there. We have a lot of tribal knowledge in the warehouse and manufacturing environments, which is something we're trying to solve for. The gig economy created an economy where the workforce can bounce between different careers, different jobs. And there is a lot of turnover in the warehouse industry. And very oftentimes, as you've seen in the warehouse, you have to know what you're doing in order to operate in these environments. And so we wanted to create some assistive technologies that helps the warehouse worker throughout their day, so we can kind of reduce that need for all that tribal knowledge that exists in manufacturing and warehouse environments today.
When you say tribal knowledge, that means where products may be in the warehouse. That would mean how a process works, how a truck is loaded, where the pallets are kept, all of that. Yes?
That's correct.
And more.
And more. Yeah. Where are the tools? When does this bin of widgets need to be replenished? Meaning I've got cases of the widgets on a shelf in the back of the warehouse, but I can't keep everything up front. How much do I need and where up front? And what's the right mix of components to keep close to the manufacturing floor or close to the shipping dock? Because I can't keep everything there, right? It's a physical real world I have to plan for and deal with.
Absolutely, with moving vehicles and people all the time. When we had talked before, you had chatted about creating an optimized warehouse. All of these things that you just mentioned are things that go into this optimized warehouse. Can you just talk to the high level, what does an optimized warehouse look like in real life, and what's perfection or what's best in class?
Yes, what's funny when you talk about what's perfection, we've actually used machine learning to simulate in warehouse environments what does perfection look like. And we know it's unattainable. We can't get there. But
Right.
we want to know what is the ceiling? Like, what is the maximum number of people, product, equipment, machines, forklifts that I could ever put in this warehouse? Like, what is the theoretical maximum? But in short, an optimized warehouse for us focuses on reducing waste, wasteful time, wasteful travel, wasted movements, really where you want employees to feel engaged and successful in the day. For example, you're a warehouse worker and we have a customer that's a lighting manufacturer. They make light bulbs. And that warehouse worker gets frustrated when they go to a bin to pull light bulbs out. And then 10 minutes later, they go back to the same bin. And then 30 minutes later, they go back to the same bin. That person feels like, I just walked here 3 times. Why can't the system tell me once? Why can't it aggregate? Why can't it bundle some of my tasks together and sort of help me throughout my day? And that's the thesis for us is how do we structure that ballet in the warehouse where movement is optimized? There is no wasted travel. You can go out on a route in the warehouse rather than going back and forth between the same bins or multiple bins in the same area throughout the same hour. Because that's frustrating as a human being just to be like, I was just here. This is annoying.
Yeah. There has to be a better way to do it. Even though you need your steps in a day, it seems redundant and there's got to be better ways to spend your time. So how do you fix it? I'm assuming you spend a lot of times in warehouse mapping people, mapping trucks, mapping processes to figure out how you can do what you all do.
Yeah, thankfully, there's a lot of universities and the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, the US Department of Labor has also done some studies around this. And the industry average is 40% of travel in the warehouse is wasted, right? It's empty forklifts, empty hands, empty totes, things like that. If you talk to some warehouse operators, they would argue it's probably more than that. It's probably 50, 60% of travel is wasted. And so I talk a lot about this thing called a digital twin. It's where we actually take the CAD drawing of a manufacturing space, of a warehouse space, and we load it into a computer model. And we essentially generate our own version of Google Maps. Google Maps knows where Chipotle is and where my soccer fields are, and it can give me a route that allows me to go to soccer and then pick up Chipotle on the way home. Same thing in the warehouse. Because we create a digital twin of the warehouse, we can create routes for employees to optimize their travel on a forklift, their travel on foot, or maybe they're working with cobots like assistive robots from Fetch Robotics and Locus Robotics and Six River Systems, right? These robots that assist human beings. We can coordinate that ballet of robots and humans and really try to optimize travel through that digital twin technology.
It's fascinating because when you hear digital twin, historically, in my world, I think about, a can of soda and you have a digital twin on the shelf, blah, blah, blah. To use a digital twin from a warehouse perspective, and when you put it in as simple terms as the Google Maps, if you then need, instead of going to soccer and Chipotle, you want to also pick up something else at the grocery store, you can very easily tweak that. And I'm assuming that as orders change, because we know that nothing is static anymore. The warehouse changes, orders change, a truck might not deliver what you need to be able to then ship it back out. It's changeable during that whole process.
Correct. I mean, the innovations in terms of cloud compute are fantastic and amazing. So if we go back 10 years ago, you had a server in a server room somewhere on premise, and that server had a limited capacity. And there's no way it could crunch all the data we need to make a real-time adjustment to your route in the warehouse. Most modern applications are built in cloud environments where we are unconstrained in terms of compute. We use Google Cloud Platform or Azure or Amazon, and it's unconstrained, meaning there's so much compute available. And because there's so much processing available, when a warehouse worker is working on a route and then there's a rush order that hits the queue, and I happen to be standing or picking something 3 bins away from that rush order in fulfilled, it hits my device immediately and it's added to my route. My handle buzzes. I look down, I see that I have another pick task to add to my tote, and I walk over, I grab it, and then I take it to the shipping dock. And so this age of cloud compute and unconstrained computing power, really things can flex on demand. That's what enables us to do these dynamic changes real time in the warehouse. Cause you're absolutely right. I go to pick something and I ran my fork into it and I broke it. There's all sorts of things that happen in the warehouse. A lot of people laugh that, what do you mean? You set a box there. Why isn't it there when you went back? Well, I don't know.
Lots of things.
Lots of things
Lots
can
of
happen.
different reasons. When you talk about the gig economy, and this is something we talked about earlier too, and all of the reasons people don't stay in jobs. If somebody is using this kind of technology and they're not wasting either the drive time on the fork truck or walking, is it helping the turnover at the warehouses so that you do have more longevity because they're not as annoyed by going to the same bin or the same place twice or 3 or 4 times in that shift.
Yeah, based on some of our user feedback, for the warehouse worker, the point of the application is to make them more successful in the day and make them feel like they accomplished things and their time wasn't wasted and they added value. And it was not easy, it's still work, but it was easy to understand what I needed to do first, second, third, fourth, fifth. For the tenured warehouse worker that knows where everything is, generally they're happy that they don't have someone job shadowing with them because the application can provide, again, we create that digital twin, that map of the warehouse. Now that brand new employee who walks in the first day, who doesn't know all the light bulbs and all the aisles and all the bins, the app actually provides indoor navigation. We tell them, go to aisle 38, go left, walk down 5 columns to column AD, and then go to look for this bin, right? So the tenured employee is happy because they don't have someone job shadowing, training for 30 days. The brand new person is effective, the first day, second day, third day, rather than day 30. So in general, we want to make people feel good. We call it enlight and delight. So we want to enlighten them, enable them to do their job well, feel good at the end of the day, and have that great user experience, which I think, again, nobody thinks about that in the warehouse. I think a lot of scanners were just shoved in people's hands and said,
Do
figure
it.
it out, go use it.
Yep.
We're trying to take more of a consumer approach to warehouse management.
And nobody wants to feel like they have to be redundant in their work and do things over and over for the same thing, right? For no additional benefit. You've got the workers and the fork truck operators that can now know better where something is.
Mhm.
Can the warehouses then become more optimized because you don't need the tribal knowledge to know where something is, but you have different products coming in? It doesn't have to be static. You can move that across the warehouse to be more efficient, I'm assuming.
Correct. Well, imagine today if you're working in a sporting goods warehouse, it's springtime and baseball and softball starting. And so that warehouse manager knows, bring those gloves to the front, right? Because it's baseball season. So that's tribal knowledge that says, hey, I need to do this. With machine learning, and remember, talking about the power of cloud compute and unconstrained capacity. Remember, there's not a server in the closet that's limited. I have this unlimited compute in the cloud. In our application, we use, again, machine learning to simulate putting every product in every bin and calculating the time travel and the distance. And we're able to do that in every bin for every product everywhere in the warehouse. And then based on your upcoming demand, your production orders that are going out and producing product, or your outbound delivery schedule, orders that customers have made or orders that your B2B partners have made, we're able to simulate putting every product in every bin and then looking at upcoming orders and then helping you determine what products to keep at the pick face level, what products to keep at the second level, third level, fourth level for every aisle specific to that day, week, month. And that's just something that Excel can't do. And a human being can do, if they've been in the warehouse for 20 years, they just know it. But through machine learning, we're able to allow customers, that warehouse manager, to run 3, 4, 5 different simulations. What if I moved all this product here, play? What does that look like? What if I move that product from there to there, play? What does that look like? So rather than that person telling his employees, his or her employees, go move this product over here, we're going to see what it looks like after a week. Those are expensive
Yeah.
things that need to
Yes.
happen. Now we can use this virtual environment to simulate moving product in the warehouse to help us better figure out where to lay it out and how to lay it out.
And then when you make the changes, I'm making an assumption here, but I remember fork trucks like almost crashing into each other all the time. So you may have more safety, right? Because you're not like, oh, shoot, I forgot that the baseball bats are in the front now. Better turn around.
Right.
So you're more able to maybe have a Google map being safe.
Yeah. So when we build that Google Maps, we also basically do what we call the ant colony optimization, which is let's simulate how many ants we can put in this warehouse, how many forklifts, how many people. That way, when it comes time to orders in a queue coming through, we know that this batch of orders is going to go to Jill on this fork truck and she's going to go down this aisle. Now we're not going to send Hank down that aisle because Hank's going to have a separate set of tasks going down a different aisle. So we're able to help orchestrate and navigate, recommend, pick routes and pick paths that don't create collisions.
It's really cool. I mean, I came from the beer industry where there's big pallets of heavy, right? And watching them go up into high density storage or just on the bins, it's daunting. And to be able to find the right beer at the right time was difficult in all those different warehouses. When you talk about optimization, not just from a warehouse perspective, but from a supply chain, why is that so important? I mean, we've heard about supply chain resilience, supply chain optimization, but from your perspective in the work that you do and see, why is that important?
So for us, we believe that transparency creates efficiency. So by having something be visible, we can optimize more. So saying that, If again, I just made an order for some kids' sporting goods equipment, right? It is softball season for my daughters. So made an order, placed it. It says order received. It goes into a black box, and then I get an order shipped email. This time in the middle is undetermined. I don't know what's going on, and I hope they know what's going on, right? There's undetermined time. Imagine now if we could create even more communication to that end user saying, order received, orders in the warehouse, pickers picking your product. It's at the pack station. It's shipped. You can, as a customer, see that whole flow, almost like the Domino's pizza tracker, but instead it's for everything in your warehouse. That is a great consumer experience. That way, you're not just, I wonder when it's going to ship. I said it would ship this week. I don't know if it's going to ship. Where is it at?
It's awesome. I'm also thinking from a food safety perspective, and I know we're not talking about food safety, but to be able to track something that specifically, and I know we're talking in the warehouse here, but when I'm thinking about, what you said about cloud computing, or we don't have just a server in the closet, there's so many different things that we can do. And then me geeking out on standards, if we're speaking that same standards language, you can hand off that information up and down the supply chain from a warehouse perspective.
I haven't read enough, but I've heard about these food safety standards that are going to be coming into effect, I think in 2024, 2025. Traceability is going to be huge. And this
Yes.
digital twin technology is something that allows you to understand that this product was in this bin, in this refrigerated area for this amount of time. And this person handled it and moved it to flash freeze. Then this other person took it from flash freeze to shipping, and then it shipped out, right? And so you can't, through digital twin technologies, we can support that traceability to understand where was it, how long was it there, and who touched it.
It's just really awesome, all of the technology that's going to be coming and how it can help with the FSMA 204 regulations. Also to the standards, if I say GS1 128, what would you say?
I love that there is a standard, number one. And we work with a lot of so we have an automotive manufacturer, and there's a lot of components that go into EVs, electric car manufacturer. And we're on the inbound side, our application, where they receive goods in, semi-finished goods, parts, raw materials that are going to go into the car. And unfortunately for them, they only have about 60% compliance on barcodes on boxes, meaning this manufacturer said, hey, Joe supplier, your label must always look like this. And it doesn't always look exactly like the manufacturer wants. But thankfully, those manufacturers are using GS1 barcodes. And so because the standard exists, and because, again, we have that unrestrained compute where I have all GS1 128 standards loaded into our application, so it really doesn't matter if the car manufacturer was expecting a 2D or a PDF 417, but they send a GS 128. Well, great. I can still read it at an application layer as an application. So those standards are very important for us. I just read a piece from GS1.org on the future of barcoding is 2D and how we can stuff so much information into those barcodes. Because again, if I have a GS 128 barcode on a box, it's never just one. It's going to be one for the order number, one for the product code, one for the lot code, one for the quantity, one for the date. Me as a warehouse worker, 5 scans, whereas it could just be a 2D barcode and it's 1 scan. Super efficient.
Absolutely. And depending on what your product is, if you sell at a case, or maybe you take the product out and sell at a case, that 2D barcode could have case level information. It could also have consumer information, which is recipe information, and then you can track it. 2D is really kind of that next level barcode. We are so excited about it. It's awesome to hear your excitement too, because I'm looking at my soda can and there's a 2D barcode on there. We all are very used to seeing it now, and it's everywhere. There's so much we can do with it.
When a user in our application creates a new label, by default, we stuff everything into a 2D. So they have to forcefully change to the 128, and then we have to put 5 of them on a label, right? As opposed to just one nice big one that's easy to read for scanners.
When you think about the warehouse of tomorrow, and you've already touched on it because you talked about robots and you talked about humans, you've talked about the warehouse side, but what about the store? Are you also thinking that someday I'm going to go into my local Publix because I live in the South, and there is going to be a Google map or a robot? And it kind of already exists, I think. But what do you think from a store perspective, what it's going to look like?
Well, 2 things on the stores. I think indoor navigation could help out a lot. It would be amazing if you could throw it in my grocery list and then it spits back like all the aisles I need to go down. Then that would optimize my travel in the warehouse, in the grocery store. So retail environments, everybody wants to turn their retail store into a dark store at night and have warehouse fulfillment out of their retail stores at night. And so we have had retailers reach out to us to say, does your indoor positioning work in retail environments? And can it support warehouse workers who are not working in the warehouse? They're actually in our store after closing hours, picking items and fulfilling orders. Then the short answer is yes, it works. A store layout is a warehouse layout, is a production floor layout. It's aisles and columns. To us, it's all polygons. Behind the scenes, it's all polygons, things I can walk through and things I can't walk through. So
Could you change displays and end caps just as easily because you do that in the warehouse? So if a
correct.
store wanted to change that, it's really cool. I
Yeah,
would love to have that map. Although then you don't get the extra shopping. Oh, I should go down that aisle. That looks like good something that I don't need to eat, but whatever. Uh,
exactly. Oh, I definitely needed capers. Yes.
Definitely capers that are expiring in my closet 3 years later. Yes, absolutely. This has been awesome. I think that when you talk about the warehouse of the future, there's not a lot of people that know what happens to products when they order them. And like I can picture a warehouse, you can picture a warehouse. It can be super chaotic. And it sounds like this technology can just make it so much more streamlined. It can keep people happier, which is so very important today. They have choices in what they do.
Absolutely. I mean, we have a customer in Arizona, 150 warehouse workers, and every year their annual turnover is 110%. So they're not even keeping people for an entire year.
Wow.
They're constantly turning over, and there's a lot of undesirable jobs in the warehouse, unfortunately. There's people that are unloading trucks and just palletizing product, which is
Yep.
where, I think robots comes into play. Allow human beings with that higher level of thinking and then enable the robots to unload the truck, which is a very mind-numbing task.
110%. I mean, that's just awful. I don't wish that kind of turnover on anybody. That's awful.
I also think it's because it's in Arizona and it's super hot in the warehouse.
That's very true. I remember back to when I was doing some pallet projects. I was a geek packaging engineer back in the day and doing some packaging evaluations in Texas in the heat without air conditioning. I don't really think that that's the most fun way you can spend your day. But if you know where you're going in the warehouse, it's even better. So, pivoting a little, Reed and I at the end of podcasts like to ask folks two questions. You have kids, so I'm really interested in seeing what the answer is going to be to what your favorite technology is right now. It doesn't have to be work, it could be personal. What are you loving right now, technology wise?
I don't want to be cliche and say GPT-4, but unfortunately, that generative AI is taking over our world. We have a team of data scientists at Fulfilled, and we've written our own genetic algorithms that I remember I was talking about how we can simulate every product in every bin for the customer without actually doing the move. We can simulate everything. And I think machine learning is really cool from a work perspective and being able to run simulations and things like that. But right now, generative AI is awesome and everybody's looking for a use case and how it can help out. And we're looking at it from a driver communication standpoint. If you've been in a warehouse where there's more than one door, the way it works is you have 9 doors there and you have your delivery scheduled and no doors should be double occupied. But in the end, everybody shows up at the same time. You have 9 trucks at the door and 2 waiting. And so how can we communicate with drivers in natural language through text message? And so that's something we're looking at with generative AI is that two-way communication with drivers to better coordinate where they're parking, where they're going, what door they're pulling up to, just again to further optimize that product in, product out inside the warehouse.
And that's another thing that people who haven't been in warehouses probably understand is it is that ballet, not just inside, but outside with these trucks and getting on the yard and waiting for them to be unloaded and all of that sitting time. It's fascinating to me that you all are working on how to let them know, how to
Correct.
communicate with them. That's awesome.
When a truck is in the yard, we also want to kind of know what's on the truck and then soft load the inventory into the system so that if manufacturing comes and says, "Hey, I need a part," and I see it in the system in the yard, get that truck in here fast because I need, otherwise we have a line down scenario kind of thing. So yeah, it's super neat.
That's really cool. Last question for you. What has blown your mind recently?
I just came back from the ProMat conference in Chicago, the material handling conference, and the robots literally blew my mind. These robots that can unload a truck with different size boxes, different weights, totally blows my mind. The palletizing of it. Again, it's that hot truck in Texas that you have to walk in to unload the truck that a human being doesn't want to do. And it could be potentially unsafe, could be over 110 degrees inside that truck. Can these robots go in and do it? And the robots at ProMat, if anybody hasn't ever been to that conference, it's amazing. There's another conference coming up called Automate, which is all about these robots that can unload trucks. Super impressive, super neat. I don't think they're going to take over the world. We're just looking at robots here in North America. There's a whole lot of warehouses around the world. And I think a lot of people forget that Central America, South America, they're just getting a taste for direct to consumer. Whereas, now it's normal here, right? There's no Amazon grocery delivery in Mexico today. There will be, though, just like it is here, and it will go south and it will go everywhere. And warehouses are going to change. I think warehouses are still going to be human beings and robots. It's not just going to be all robots. But anyways, what blows my mind is just these robots that can unload trucks. It's absolutely amazing.
It's really cool. I'm going to Google and see if I can find some videos of it because I bet they're out there and I bet it's really cool.
This one company named the robot Pickle.
Oh, because it picks? I love that.
So they named it Pickle. So look up Pickle robots. You'll see this robot unload a truck, which is totally
okay.
cool.
I'm going to write that down. I love that name. That's so
that
great.
was a free plug for them.
That's great. That's great. Awesome. It has been great talking to you today. We'd love to have you back as all of this develops because, like you said, it's going to continue evolving. And with this unlimited technology, the kind of sky's the limit.
Absolutely. Would love to come back. Looking forward to the GS1 conference in June coming up in Denver. So super happy to be there at that conference as well. So definitely we'll keep in touch.
Thank you. Talk soon.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining the Next Level Supply Chain with GS1 US. If you enjoyed today's show, you can subscribe to our feed or explore more great episodes wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to share and follow us on social media. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.